Welcome to the A-side for 2017. In this video, I'm going to talk about the albums coming out I'm excited to listen to, the records coming in I'm excited to show off in the B-side, and any relevant music news. Check it out. We're back again, and of course, a new month means more albums coming out, more records coming in, and I can't wait to show it to all of you guys. First off, I just want to thank you guys for all the awesome suggestions in the last video. We are taking a lot of them to heart, and I think you will see them implemented over the next few months. Before we get this video started, I just wanted to say that last time I really liked answering all your fan questions you left, so if you have more questions for me, leave them in the comments, and I will answer them in the B-side. Let's hop right into it so this can be a little shorter than usual. Father John Misty returns with his third LP, Pure Comedy. Now, I loved his first two. He has a lot to live up to, but I think if anyone can do it, he can pull the three-fer off. Let's call it a hat trick. Since his last album, he's become even more meta, and he shaved his beard, he has a mustache now, he's doing a lot of weird things online. He's a very interesting character, and that's part of the appeal of his music. I've seen him in concert a bunch of times, and he's always doing weird dances on stage and all kinds of things that make it seem like his whole thing is ironic. But his music is terrific, so if you don't know Father John Misty by now, definitely dig into his first two LPs. I haven't listened to a single from this album, so I'm excited to go into it completely blind. I have the deluxe version coming in, so when that comes in, I'm super excited to show you in the B-side. Fermin also is coming out with their third album, Belong. I loved their first one because it had this girl singer and this guy singer. The two of them have this really good interplay throughout the album. The guy also sounds a little bit like Matt Berninger from The National, so that was a huge plus for me. I loved their first album. Second album was strong, not quite as strong, but I did see them on the tour for the second album, and live they are terrific. So really excited for the third one, hoping they bring some new tricks to the table, and I will definitely try to catch them if they come into town. A really cool release I was not expecting is Gas is releasing the first album in 17 years. Wolfgang Voigt is a German psychedelic, ambient, almost krautrocky at times producer who has a wonderful catalog. I actually recently picked up the Gas box set. I didn't show it off yet because I just got it, but it's most of his earlier work, and Narkopop is coming out this year. The pre-orders for the vinyl have been really expensive, so I'm hoping that comes down in price, but I'd love to hear it, and if it's as good as his early stuff, this is going to be a must-have for any ambient psychedelic fans collection. After a long time, Sylvan Esso has decided to release their second album. I loved their first album. I remember the first time I heard their single, Coffee. It was so soft and beautiful and catchy, and then the rest of the album had a very different sound back and forth. Some of the songs were a little dancier and a little more electronic, but it's just a guy and a girl singing and the guy doing electronic beats, and it was one of the best albums of the year when it came out. Their new single is super poppy, super catchy. I don't think that it's necessarily better than anything on the first album, but I'm still very excited for the full LP. If you're a fan of them, I'm sure you're excited too. They put on a really good live show as well. So make sure you check out What Now when it comes out. If you guys saw the B-side last month, you would know I am on a Mark Lanegan kick, the singer from Screaming Trees, who has an amazing solo career after the Screaming Trees ended. I picked up a box set of his early sub-pop albums, and I've been listening to everything I can by him and the Mark Lanegan Band. Mark Lanegan Band is releasing a new album called Gargoyle, and I picked it up at Bull Moose. It's the white indie exclusive variant, so if you want to get that, you should probably grab it before it sells out. I heard the first track, and it's a little darker and grungier than the last couple tracks, and he's sounding a lot more like Leonard Cohen these days than ever before, which is definitely a good thing. So, really excited to hear the full LP. The album that everybody is probably most excited for this month is the new Gorillaz album, Humanz. It's been a while since Plastic Beach, and Gorillaz were due for a new LP, so everyone is at the edge of their seat wondering if it will live up to the catalog. Plastic Beach has a handful of really good tracks, but for me, it's the weakest Gorillaz album. Obviously, I think Demon Days is the best Gorillaz album by far. There are a lot of killer features on this album. I'm hoping that it returns to a more Demon Days type sound. I know that 4 or 5 songs have been released already. I'm again going in blind. I like to hear an album for the first time as unsullied as possible so I can get the full experience. I only heard the first single that was released right when they announced the new album because I was so curious because it was so unexpected. But I know they did the recent drop of the cluster of songs online and I avoided them. So I'm hoping they're good. I think you hope they're good. And I think this is going to be one we're going to be talking about for a while this year. So let's cross our fingers. It's as good as Demon Days, or at least close to it. And then we have some awesome Gorillaz to jam out to. The crazy thing about that release was that they put all these deluxe versions on their website. They put this deluxe box set for like 350 euros, and I think some of them were autographed, and it was 12 discs with 1 song per disc, and I think an alternate version on the B-side. That's insane to me. I would never want to flip an album that many times just to listen to it. That is an incredible novelty. That is the most impractical way to listen to an album. So if you're a huge Gorillaz fan, I hope you were cool dropping all of that money to get this. I don't know what the aftermarket's going to be like for that. It could drop. It could go to quadruple digits, I genuinely have no idea. But I know I will never own it because that is absurd. And of course, there is a chance that our boy Kendrick Lamar might drop his new album anytime. It could be this month, it could be next month. All I know is that the 2 tracks he's dropped are absolute fire. Heart Part 4 is a great continuation of a great series. And then Humble, the video that recently came out, also very good. It's a very different song and showcases multiple sides of Kendrick. I think this album has potential to be album of the year. There was a track list that was rumored. I don't know if it's true, but on the rumored track list, it said that there was a song that featured Andre 3000 and produced by Kanye West. Now, I think that's too good to be true, but if that's the case, that could very well be the greatest rap song of all time. There's very little in music news, but there are 2 things that interested me. Sufjan Stevens' label Asthmatic Kitty announced that they are going to be releasing a live video / live performance from the Sufjan Carey and Lowell tour. I went to this tour twice, even though it was a little pricey because it was that beautiful. If you haven't watched my review of Carey and Lowell, check it out right here. I think I gave it like a 9.5. I would honestly bump that up to a 10. I think that is a perfect album, and it is one of the most beautiful albums I've heard in my entire life. It is intimate, it is heartbreaking, it is gorgeous. Everything about it is flawless, and it is honestly an album that we should all be so lucky to have heard in our lifetime. I know that's high praise, but this is such a special album that if you don't know it, you should really take the time after this video to sit and listen to it. I'm really excited to see this show for a 3rd time. 3rd time's the charm. And at this show, he encored with a cover of Drake's Hotline Bling. He brought in his opener, Gallant, to kind of help him sing it, and that is a sight to behold. So look forward to that if you're a Sufjan fan. One of my favorite bands, Alt J, is releasing their 3rd album, Relaxer, in June. It just got pushed to a week earlier for its release date, which very rarely happens, but that is a very welcome thing. Their first track, 3WW, is one of the prettiest tracks of the year by far, and they just released In Cold Blood, the 2nd song. Very different, equally amazing in that special, weird Alt-J way. I think this could be album of the year for me. I'm going to call it right now. I think it might be. Unless Kanye does a surprise drop or Kendrick's is that good, I think that Alt-J is going to come back for the 3rd time and just boom. I just realized a lot of the albums I'm talking about are the 3rd ones. And now for all the records coming in, the moment you've all been waiting for. Finally, this month, hopefully, some of the ones I've been talking about for a few months will be coming in. I'm talking about
Doom.
I'm talking about MF Doom, which has still mysteriously been delayed. I really want to display that figure and listen to that single on wax, and hopefully this is the month I can do it.
We're just doing the same video over
I know.
and over.
Remember that May record that was going to be coming in? The morning, afternoon, evening? Well, maybe this is the month I finally get it. Maybe! So
Yes.
dumb. Cool thing is, I saw that for anyone that was in the first 300 pre-orders, which I was, they are actually including handwritten lyrics from the lead singer of their new single they just released, which I also bought the 7-inch for that may be coming in this month. Maybe. Lil Ugly Mane's Mr. Thug Isolation, arguably his best album, although very different in style than the rest of his stuff, is getting a reissue on its original cover. The original cover is absurd. It is something I've wanted for a long time. The repress is a really cool cover too, but the original is the iconic cover that I'm used to, and the originals with that cover go for insane prices, so I'm glad they're reissuing it. I do have a copy of the 3rd repress, but I had to pick up the original cover. It also comes on translucent yellow wax, so I'm excited to show that off, excited to spin that. One of my favorite hip-hop albums ever. From the subscription services, got a bunch of good stuff. Obviously, Feed Bands every month is keeping me happy. Vinyl Moon is coming with their next volume. And then Vinyl Me Please, I have 2 records coming in. The first is the album of the month, Demon Days, which, as we all know, as I talked about in the last video, is getting a repress for the first time in a very long time on red vinyl, 45 RPM. I am incredibly excited to hear this. I feel like it'll be like the first time I've ever heard it, which is great. And then Vinyl Me Please tends to do limited variants of certain records in addition that you can buy in the store and tack onto your order. This month they had the National Sad Songs for Dirty Lovers. I already own 2 copies of this record. I have the black copy and the limited white copy. The white one's super hard to find, so I'm glad I have it. This is on this crazy splatter that splatters all the colors of the cover onto it. So this is going to be really cool to add to my collection. Anything National, I will buy because that is just how I do. A friend of mine turned me on to an EP by Novo Amor. It's called Woodgate, New York. It's a 4-song EP, and I was skeptical in buying it, but when I heard it, I knew I had to add it to my collection. This guy, if I didn't tell you any better, you would think it's unreleased Bon Iver material. And I'm talking pre-glitched Bon Iver. It is so lush and pleasant for your ears. I enjoyed all 4 tracks immensely, and I had to grab it because once this goes out of print, I feel like people are going to be clamoring for this when this guy makes a bigger name for himself. I want to jump in on the ground floor. If you could find it online, you should too. As I mentioned before, Father John Misty, the deluxe of Pure Comedy, is coming in. I'm excited to see what he has in store for that. one of my top 5 folk albums of all time, Jose Gonzalez, In Our Nature, I recently upgraded to the clear vinyl version, which is the limited variant. It's eluded me for a while, and I finally found it for a good price on Discogs, so I am going to retire my black copy and welcome the clear one into my life. And finally, I have 2 records coming in from the vaporwave experimental electronic corner of the internet. We have HKE, also known as Hong Kong Express, releasing Dragon Soul, and then James Ferraro doing Human Story 3. I got both limited versions of those, so the red for Dragon Soul and the clear for Human Story 3. They also each say they come with a bonus gift if you pre-ordered it early enough, and I jumped on the pre-order the second they went on sale because I saw the Facebook post. Excited to see what the gifts are, excited to hear the albums, and show them off to you guys. So that's the A side, and the B side, I will be showing you guys all of these great records as well as talking about the albums I discussed. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, please subscribe, and I will see you guys on Wednesday. This year I've talked a lot about bands that you've probably heard of, but there are a lot of bands coming out with albums that you have definitely not heard of unless you decide to dive into the internet like I do and research bands